Hey, I wanted to give a demo on how to install and use this Pious project that I've been talking about for aggregation. So this Pious is the Pio utility suite. It's on GitHub. That's not how you should install it. You should install it with pip. So I'm going to go through how to do that. So real quick, the first thing you want to do, um, is to go just look up Python on Windows, install Python on Windows, and there's going to be this link for releases on Windows. You want at least 3.11. You need at least 3.11, and anything after that should work as well. So just install it. I already have it installed, but you can just go through the installation on that. Okay, after that, I'm going to open up a new PowerShell because I'm already inside of an instance with Pious installed. But I'm going to go ahead and go to PowerShell. You can just look up Windows PowerShell, and I'm going to make this bigger so that you can see it. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that Python is installed and at a proper version. So I just run Python version. Okay, great. The next thing I'm going to do, I am going to create a virtual environment. Now this is kind of just for my demonstration. This is good sanity practice, but if you're like, just good sanity habits for not cluttering your global Python installation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about that. But if you use Python on a regular basis, you should make a virtual environment. But if not, don't worry about it. So I'm going to use the virtual environment env, which is, or the VM module. And I'm just going to create a new virtual environment called env. And we're just going to run this. And this takes a second. If you're interested, the reason we create a virtual environment is as I install packages, which I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to install the Pious package. Those can have conflicts with other packages. And so if I'm using the same installations for a bunch of different projects, and there might end up being conflicts, and I've bricked an entire Mac system from using bad Python packaging. I've freezed up the entire thing by screwing up my global Python installation. Okay, so we have this. I want to activate that environment now. So this happens with activate.ps1. So there's a bunch of different activates in there. This is the PowerShell. PS is for PowerShell. And now once this is activated, we see that this is green. We have this green env at the beginning. Great. Okay, so now I want to do pip install Pious. Now this is going to take a minute. There's a bunch of things to install. And yeah, this is gonna hang here for probably about a minute. But while that's happening, I want to show you. So this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be aggregating. This is a very tiny set of boards, and in fact, they're really the trees are really dumb. I think that they're like, there's 50 in the middle. There's stacks of 100. There's kind of nothing. There's nothing to them. These are really dumb trees. This is just for testing the aggregation. It's not, nothing meaningful is inside of these, but okay, that's done. So now what I want to do, the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to run Pious in general. Now Pious, you can also import it inside and use it from your own code, but you can use it from command line. Let me go ahead and clear this because I know there's a lot of text on there that can look crazy, but so I'm just going to, this is like the splash page for Pious, and we get this usage message that says, hey, you can use help, which is kind of what we're printing here. And then there's all these subcommands that you can use. So you can run the flop subcommand, aggregation viewer, or aggregate, which is what we want to do. We want to aggregate a bunch of things. There's also this thing for blockers, and there's and then a thing to help you like just look at lines within a solve. We want to look at aggregate for now. So now let's go ahead and run Pious again, but now I'm going to tell it to aggregate some things. But again, I'm not going to actually aggregate anything yet. I just want to see what the options are here. And it's saying error, we need CFR files. So we need to say what we want to aggregate. So this is either going to be a CFR file or it's going to be a line. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's just run it on a CFR file. And I'm going to use this really dumb Yeah, I'm going to copy the address as text here. And let's just go ahead and do it on like the ace high board. And I'm going to just print this to standard out so you can see what it does. Actually, no, let's go ahead and save it to output. Test 1. And the last thing we need to do, well, if we were to run this right now, we wouldn't aggregate anything because we haven't said what lines we need. That's the other thing it says, is we need to specify some lines. We haven't specified any lines. So you can specify a line like this, right? So this is going to be the CBET node. That would work fine. And if we were to, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my, right, this is, we just get, for the single board, we have a single line. So we ran on a single board and a single line. This isn't super interesting. But, and I'm going to try, we can try this on all flops. Now this is going to fail, and this is on purpose. We get this error saying the destination already exists. And this is so you don't accidentally, if you do this, like, this can take an hour or two to run if you have like a full database of 1,755 flops and you're doing all flops and turns for your aggregation. This can take a while. So I don't want that to overwrite. So I do fail to overwrite. The problem is, and I'm going to update this in the next thing, I don't check until after we've already run the aggregation. So this is actually a bug in the UI that can be a pain in the ass. So just be very aware that when you're outputting, make sure that doesn't exist, or you can overwrite. You can pass the overwrite flag, and this will ensure that you overwrite. Now, what happened here? I specified all flops, right? So I'm saying on this board, aggregate all flop lines and output to test 1. And if we look in test 1 again, I know this is kind of small. Can I make this bigger? I hate that Windows Explorer you can't make bigger. But you can see, I know it's tiny, but there's a root node. So R_0, this aggregates the root node. There's the check. There's a check bet12. So this is going to be the CBET node. This is going to be the response to CBET node, response to raise, etc., etc. Response to check all in. So there's a bunch of different, each one of the, and what's nice about this is in Pious, you have to like save each one of your nodes individually. So it's like you run for an aggregation report for a line, and then you get this like thing that comes out, and there's a whole bunch of different information. And then you have to like save that to a place, and that takes a while, and it's error prone. And this just happens just pretty cleanly to, now, I don't have quite as much information as Pious Solver does. I might add that eventually, but this is like kind of the main stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and instead of running on just a single board, because what we really want to do is run on full databases, let's run, and this is going to be a little bit longer running. I'm going to run on all flops and turns. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to output again to test 1, and I'm going to overwrite. So all the stuff that we just had is going to be overwritten. And we can see that we have these 2 progress bars. So we're aggregating lines. We're on the first board. We've completed 0 out of 10 boards, and we're about 85% of the way through the first board. And this takes a minute, right? This is just going to take a while. And you can see the flop. It starts off going really fast because flops are fast to aggregate, and then turns take longer. But yeah, while that's happening, let's look at the information that I'm generating here. So currently this is just output as a CSV. I have the flop, out of position EV, in position EV, out of position equity, in position equity. The fold frequency, the call frequency, raise frequency. I have a buggy implementation of action EVs. I also have a buggy implementation of global frequencies. Those I will fix those at some point. I'm not sure about the action EVs. I got to check to see how efficiently I can compute those. I wasn't getting those to match up what was coming out in Pious. But yeah, I think everything else should match up pretty well. And here we're still about 70% of the way through. Yeah. So yeah, I think the nice thing about this, though, what I really like about this is that I can get aggregation reports that are in this structured format for every single node in the game tree. Um, Pretty easily. Now, if you have a partial save, I don't currently have resolving implemented. I will at some point. This is a thing that last I checked wasn't working in UPI. Maybe it's been fixed. I think Kuba said that this was not a thing that he was interested in. It wasn't a very highly utilized uh, features, so he wasn't going to fix it. So I do have something in Pious that lets me do that. I just need to make sure that it works correctly. It basically happens through node locking, whatever. I won't get into details. Okay, so this is done. I have some, don't worry about this stuff. This is just debug output. These are all the different lines that we, yeah, that we have. I should have deleted that before I published, but yeah, I didn't. But anyway, so we created the directory test1. We're overwriting it. Now these are all the different files that were written. And you can see here, now we're starting to get some turn nodes, right? So we can have, let's see, let's look at the check back call check. So this is going to be the turn barrel aggregation. And we can see on each one of these, let me go ahead and put this into preview mode, right? This is 865 and ace of spades turn, out of position EV, in position EV, right? We can see, yeah, all these different values for all these different boards. So I've aggregated each of the turns on each of these different boards. And they're just in, in this nice, well-structured, output format. So anyway, this is the basic idea. I'm going to add some bells and whistles as I go along, but I think that this is kind of like, maybe 90% of the use case for aggregation reports is like just checking out action frequencies. And this just makes it very easy. You don't have to manually organize these things. And at some point I will update this to, add in some more features as they come up. Anyway, I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, go ahead and DM me, or yeah, I probably good to not clutter the Pious solver Discord too much. But if it's general enough, I suppose it probably wouldn't be the end of the world. But okay, yeah, take care.